Welcome to number 5. This is our fifth annual SU2 conference. Um, Really a pleasure every year to come and see you guys. So, welcome back to Verena. Also, this is I've been keeping track now where we land every year. Um, we bumped around a little bit in the beginning, but now 3 years in a row we've been back here in Verena together, which is really a treat. This stick is from 2022, but let's try to keep it going. We've got a pretty good streak. Um, and with that, I want to say huge thank you to our local organizers, especially Julio. Tons of work to get this. And in particular this year, a couple setbacks, but we've got a nice location and everything worked out just fine. So thanks again. I'll have to pull up a few graphics and some statistics every year. You guys are probably getting maybe a little used to this. You've seen some of these slides, but I think it's kind of nice because every year we can look back and compare. If you go look at last year's slides, you can kind of see some of the milestones and some of the statistics from the project. So I think it's fun. So bear with me. It's a little repetitive, but I think it's a good time. So the timeline's getting pretty crowded. I actually thought about this year taking out some of the years and kind of cutting some stuff, but at the last minute I said, no, 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 I'm just going to shove one more year on the end to try to make it work. But really all I can highlight anymore at this level of the view is, our meetings, the releases, when we formed the foundation that is helping organize events like this. And the last couple of years, you'll see us being here in Verona as well. So let's look at a few numbers. So every year I pull this. These are the statistics from the project website. So not the the foundation website, but the code project website. This is just web hits. So it's always interesting to see where around the world people are accessing the website from. The top few bounce around a little bit. I think the last few years, I think we've been competing sort of with United States. Sorry, we should be more specific. Very international room here. China's up front this year. They were behind the U.S. I think last year, but then some of the other characters are pretty consistently in the top 10 as well. And I have the numbers from last year. We can pull it out later if somebody's curious. Development continues on. So this is just a quick flash to show you how active the repository is. So things continue. This is active GitHub repository. So each one of these is a commit, so you can see the activity. But let's look at some specific numbers. So I went in, like last year, grabbed numbers of different things from GitHub, right before the conference here. So let's talk about a few of the things that are there. First of all, we just released 8.1.0 right before the conference. So thanks to all, I'll have more to say about this in a minute, but thanks to everybody who contributed and got work into that. That's available for everybody. Over 78 merge pull requests since the meeting time last year, so about a year ago. We have 650 people cloning the repository in a 2-week period. We have over 1,000 unique visitors to the GitHub repository in a 2-week period. Over 850 commits that went into essentially 8.1 since 8.0, so around this time last year. Great. And 837 forks on GitHub. So this is basically, folks out in the wild who have copied or cloned, pulled a fork of the repo so they can work on it. It's kind of I think of it as a proxy for, who's out there kind of using the code, but maybe not contributing directly to our main repository. But still, it's a good proxy for sort of activity. Okay, let's talk a little more about development highlights. So like I said, 8.1 came out just last week, kind of right before, actually over the weekend. Within this version, some notable improvements I want to highlight. V&V and modeling improvements in general. So symmetry planes, I know NISO, where is he? I'm looking at him, there he is, worked on that. Trivial modeling, making it consistent with literature. some other corrections and things. 80 performance improvements. Johannes is around here somewhere in the back. There you are. Good job. Um, turbo machinery features, Josh and others. Um, usability of Python wrapper, etc. So this is just some highlights. Pedro sent, you all know Pedro, he's not here, but he sent these along, wanted to highlight these things. But I want to say kudos to him and all of you for kind of getting 8.1 out the door. So nice job. And you can see the rest of the contributions if you hop to the link there. Okay, so now a little bit of news about the foundation. So on the sort of organization side of the ball, we had a bunch of stuff that happened within the last year between the last meeting and now. So I want to highlight a few things. First of all, 2 new board members officially, Julio and Marco, who's not here, but we're excited to have them on the board. We also created what we're calling the advisory committee or a technical advisory committee for folks who are stepping down off the board but want to stay involved with the organization going forward. And so we have added Piero, Juan, and Tim Albring to the advisory committee. So we're very happy to have that and have you all continue to work with us on the foundation activities. We created the first, what we're calling SU2 scholarship. This is a grant that we're setting up that is using the foundation funds that will basically host a student or a researcher at one of the participating universities. And the idea being, we could do a project that's a little bigger, or, we could basically fund somebody to come and work and contribute directly to SU2 development. So it's an application-based process. I have a slide in a moment about that. But we want folks to apply and, say what your host institution would be and what project you might want to work on. We would match that up and make sure that it's a good fit. But it's a nice opportunity for folks for, maybe a 3 to 6 month type stay to work on the code and contribute. We continued with fundraising activities. So, the board and the fundraising committee is always trying to kind of reach out to people in the community, companies, organizations, see how we can collaborate, but also raise funds to help put on events like this and hopefully keep growing in the future. And there's a link to some documentation that takes you back to the main site if you want to look at that later. 2 more things that were very notable this year. We had a Turbo Summer School in Delft. So this was just over the last summer. So Mateo, awesome job for putting that on. I think it was well received. I think you've got a nice photo of you guys in action there. Second thing that was really great, which was led by NISO, was the Google Summer of Code. So this is the first year as a project. We applied and were given several projects in affiliation with Google Summer of Code. So basically, it's sort of like an internship you can think of in coordination with Google, where some students can come and work on the code. We actually have, I think, all 3 presenting, here at the conference. So be on the lookout for those talks. I think it's really great. Okay. One more word. I already kind of said this, but the SU2 scholarship is open. You can find this information on the website. So there's a link to apply. There's a blurb about sort of expectations and how it works. But feel free to hop on the SU2foundation.org site, look this up. And we hope to have a bunch of applications and try to fill this in 2025 for the first time. So give it a look. Okay, then the last couple things from me are kind of more practical and programmatic. So the meeting agenda is going to run basically like it has in previous years. So we've got all of the information is going to be linked to the main page there, the conference 2024 page. So even during the event, if things are changing or we're updating stuff or we need to put the location of dinner or whatever, just go to this page. You'll find everything. This year, we had a little bit more space in the agenda. So the talks are now 20 minutes. So it used to be a little tighter. So you have a little more time, but please plan for, 15-minute talk with some time for Q&A and switching out speakers. That always takes a minute or so. We have over 30 talks, 4 sessions per day for these 2 days, Monday, Tuesday. And, like usual, we'll post the slides and the recordings with permission, of course, after the event. So we'll post them with your permission. For folks on GoToWebinar, we will be monitoring the chat. So feel free to drop questions in the chat there, and in the Q&A session, me and Toby will be checking and sort of pulling questions and answering or feeding them to the speakers. And then for the people here, as you have seen, we have right next to us some coffee and snacks. So we'll have coffee breaks, but also lunch. And dinner is going to be coordinated and provided. We have a couple places lined up for that, so we'll give you more information. It'll be on the site, and toward the end of the day, we can maybe add some comments. Okay, before we move on to talks, I do want to give a big thank you to both last year and this year's conference sponsors. So we have a few folks in the audience here today, which we really appreciate. So both Cenero and TechPlot, really appreciate your contributions, your sponsorship. So thank you for being here. Thanks for contributing. Yeah, I think we should. And last year as well, Bosch, Vito, Cenero. We appreciate it. So thanks for that. Okay, like previous years, we will also be doing the awards. So let me just animate this. We have two awards that we have for the community. One is basically overall award for contribution to the community, and the other one is highlighting that conference presentation here at the event. So we will have information about how to vote on this. We'll post it on the main page. I think Julia's been preparing something, so we'll have basically a form where you can vote on the presentations and your nominee for contributors to the community. So look for that. We'll remind you when it's posted to vote, and we'll do it at the toward the end of tomorrow. But just be heads up for that. And last year, just to highlight again our winners. So Naito and Pedro shared the contribution of the community award last year, and we had Philip who won the best presentation award last year. So let's look forward to these, and please vote when we suggest it's time. Okay, and I think that's all from me. So this is just a reminder, a few links, especially for folks on the web or for those of you later to check. You all mostly know where the repository is. Reminder that we always have our weekly developer meetings. This is the same link every week. Feel free to call in. If you're having trouble working on something or want some advice or just bounce some ideas off people, always feel free to join. We do use Slack pretty heavily, so there's a link to join there. And if you ever have any questions or want to talk about potential sponsorship, you can contact us at info@SU2foundation.org. Okay, that's it from me. Any questions before we've actually got a couple minutes because we have 20 minutes now. Yeah, Everett, what's up?
So, what's this, will there be open submission for like motion proposals for this?
Oh, let me go back. Yeah, so it's an open call. Whoops. It's an open call. So we've actually posted on the site the instructions. I know this is getting a little cut off. It's hard to read. But on the SU2foundation.org site, we have the instructions. Basically, we want folks to submit a package. So, there's a short set of things we're asking for, including a host institution, some letters. I'm forgetting it. Do you guys remember what else we're asking for? It's fairly short. I think that might be basically it.
Curriculum vitae.
Yeah, CV.
It's already here. Yeah, I think I'll apply. Yeah, to be found. Yeah, let's say each and everyone, if you please spread the news because we need applicants, good applicants, of course, and as you have experience with scholarships, it's often the word of mouth that generates the best success. So if you can think of a young and enthusiastic coder, it's an opportunity to come and work in one of these prestigious house institutions. And what level did they get at? No. Found capable of proficient in programming C++, a researcher and software engineer, preferably with a research mind. research minded.